Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Today I'm going to be creating a few cards using a new collection from Spellbinders. This collection is called the Four Petal Collection, and I'm going to show you what these look like before we get into the projects. So the very first one I have here is called the Four Petal Thank You Floral, and let me take it out of the envelope and give you a close-up look. I love Spellbinders floral die sets, and this one does not disappoint. It has this large sprig die here, and then it comes with lots of different flowers that you can attach to it. It also has this sentiment that says thank you. The next one is a really nice set to have in your collection for original background panels, something new. It's called Essential Four Petal Labels, and here is the largest of the dies. It fits perfectly onto an A2 sized panel. You can make shaped cards with this one, which is what I'm going to do with card number 1. And here's the next one down. But it just gives you something unique to put on your cards. And these are the types of dies that you could use over and over. There are 10 dies in this set, and it fits this little sprig die just perfectly. This one is the second to the largest. And this will, of course, fit all of the layering floral images as well. And then next up, we have a sentiment die set. This one's called Thanks Enclosed. You get a ton of sentiment dies in this set, and they all have shadow pieces. So the sentiments say, happy birthday, everything, sending love, hello, is full, enclosed card. Thanks of, miss you, amazing wishes, thank for, this, are, and just. So you get a ton. And then last, we have a gorgeous glimmer panel. This one's called Wonderful Tulips. And it has this gorgeous panel here of your tulips that you can glimmer. And then it has a die that you can cut out the edge of the tulips with. And it also comes with a sentiment. It says, have a wonderful day. And it also has the die to cut it out. I'm not going to be using this die in today's video because I put in an order for the coordinating stencil. And I haven't received that yet, so it's going to be a video all unto itself very soon. I'm super excited for that. Let's get right into card number 1. I cut out the sprig die. And I just cut it out with some white cardstock, and I'm going to add a little bit of color using some brown inks. I cut everything out with white cardstock, and I'm just going to add color with different colors of inks. I'm using my Positively Saturated inks from Simon Says Stamp. So these are some little roses, and there are 2 sizes. I'm doing them in light pink and then a darker pink. The top of the roses I'm just leaving white, and I'll glue that on with little dabs of liquid glue. I'm just dabbing off the excess glue on the side before I attach it to the base piece. Those are so pretty. The next flower I'm going to color in with some Copic markers. I'm using some yellows. This is the darkest yellow of the 2 that I'm using. And then I'll come back in with a lighter yellow just to extend the color a little bit. This is the most beautiful layering flower here. So I'm coloring in the 3 pieces that you'll need for this first flower, and there's a lot of etched detailing on this flower. I'll put some foam squares between these layers. I'm just going to put 3 small foam squares and then attach it to the base piece. This gives it some really pretty dimension. The third layer I'm going to glue down flat just so it's not two-dimensional, that it's going to be hard to mill out. I'll just put some liquid glue behind it and layer that on. I'll use Copic markers on my other flowers too, but I just wanted to show you with the first flower here what I'm doing. The piece of silver cardstock that you see there to the left, I don't end up using. I end up using a bright blue cardstock. Next, I'm going to add the leaves onto this sprig. And these have some really pretty etched details to them as well. I colored in these leaves with an ink pad and a blending tool. It's a really fast and easy way to add color to your die cuts. And then I can just start attaching these to the sprig. I actually used 2 different green ink pads for this just to add a little bit of dimension. So I have a dark and a light green. I don't have the footage of me cutting out my card base, but the white card that you see on the left, that is my card base, and I cut it out with the largest die. And now I'm attaching a piece of island blue cardstock on top of that. And then I can attach the sprig, and this is just going down flat. I'm going to use the sentiment that says hello on this card. And I cut that out with more white cardstock and colored it in with some pink ink. And I'm just attaching it to the shadow piece here. I'm not sure where I want to put that yet. But that's what it looks like. Okay, so let's start attaching the flowers to this sprig. Most of these are going to be popped up with some foam squares. And I did speed up this part of the video just so that we wouldn't be here all day. That piece of blue cardstock behind the sprig just makes it look so springy and fresh. I love that island blue color. And this is a really easy and mindless floral piece to build. The sprig has little circles that indicate where the flowers go. It has larger circles for the larger flowers and smaller ones for the smaller flowers. That takes all of the guesswork out of this arrangement. All right, let's put our last flower down. And then I'm going to pop up my sentiment with some foam squares as well. And I debated whether putting this up at the top or the bottom, but I ended up just putting it kind of within the floral arrangement. I'm going to add a bunch of gems to this. There's a look at the card base. It's all one piece. And here is a close-up look at the finished card. So a very unique shape to this card. I love it. Now let's move on to card number 2. This one's going to be kind of monochromatic, and I'm leaving my sprig white. I'm attaching this to a piece of phone booth red cardstock. And then I can start attaching more flowers to this. I cut out a bunch of hearts already. Let me show you the set I used. This little set is just so much fun. It has teeny tiny hearts and flowers. There's also fruits and leaves. It was designed by Tina Smith for her pie collection, and it's called Delicious Decorations. So you don't have to use the flowers from the Four Petal Collection. You can use whatever dies you have to decorate this little sprig. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm putting lots of little hearts and flowers on it. And then I can start attaching the centers to these flowers. They're all going to be white. The other pink colors I'm using on this card are Dahlia, Wildberry, Pink Sand, and Fruit Punch. I just love all of the combination of those pinks on the red cardstock. Let's add a little more glue to this one. And then we'll put our last flower center in place. I'm going to round all 4 edges of this pink sand cardstock. It just seems to go better with this 4-petal die. And I'll also round the corners of the card base. I'm not going to be leaving any borders on this card with the pink sand cardstock. It's going to fill out the card base completely. So let's attach that with some liquid glue. And this card is another standard A2 sized card, which is 5.5 by 4 1/4. And now for my main panel, I'm just going to glue that down flat as well. I already attached the sentiment that says love you with some foam squares at the bottom of the sprig. Now I'm going to be adding some pink pearls around this. And these are called Fashion Rose. I'm going to put a bunch around and within this sprig. For the centers, I'm adding some stickles. I believe this one is called, let's see, I have it here on my desk, Frosted Lace. It's just a very subtle touch. And then this will go through the mail quite easily because it's pretty flat. And here is a close-up look at card number 2. Let me give you a really good close-up so you can see those pretty pearls. For my last card, I'm using an older stamp set. I love stripes and florals together. This stamp set is called Simple Stripes, and I'm stamping it onto a piece of graphite cardstock. I'm also using an older embossing folder called Intertwined Lattice. I love this one. It's not a 3D, it's just a regular embossing folder. I went ahead and cut out my striped panel with one of the 4 petal dies. So I'll glue this down flat. Next, I have another piece of Silver Fox cardstock that I cut out with the 4 petal die, even smaller one. The embossed panel is also Silver Fox cardstock. My sentiment is going to say sending love, and I cut out the shadow piece with black, and the teal is called Lagoon. I think those 2 colors look really nice together. It's going to complement my teal flowers perfectly. So I'm layering up another of these beautiful floral images. I'll use another Copic marker to color this in. This is a BG15. The dark cardstock on this flower is called Teal Topaz, and the lighter one is Waterfall. And once I attach this last piece to the flower, I'll use that same Copic marker just to add a little bit of shading. Next, I can start putting my floral arrangement together. So I'm going to create a hydrangea using a snippet from the sprig die. And I cut this out with fern cardstocks. We'll put the leaves and the stem down first. And then I can start creating my hydrangea with the smallest flowers from this set. I'll put the darkest colors down first. This will add some natural shading to my hydrangea. So I'm just going to put a bunch of these down. The dark purple cardstock is Lilac Blossom. And then my lighter cardstock is Purple Mist, and I'll just layer that right on top. You can also create a really pretty lilac blossom with these small flowers. But I'm just trying to put it in a circle so it looks like a hydrangea blossom. I'll put down one more flower. And now I can start attaching my teal flowers. I decided to cut out another sprig with some fern cardstock to put behind the teal flowers. And it just kind of connects the whole bouquet. I think it looks really pretty. And it added much needed greenery to this bouquet. So the flowers are going to go along the left side of the Silver Fox die cut. And then my sentiment's going to go on the right. I'm going to snip off another sprig for my top flower and glue this down flat. And I'm just kind of tucking the pieces under each other so it looks cohesive. And then I'll add more liquid glue behind this flower. And now for the sentiment. I cut out an additional shadow piece to these words. I snipped off the left side where it would be glued down to the light gray cardstock, and then left the right side behind it so that it would be all one layer, or all one level, if that makes sense. I'll attach a center to my largest flower, this pretty star-shaped center with some yellow cardstock. And then I do go over all of my blooms with some glitter pen. But let's go ahead and attach this to a top-folding white card base. I decided to use a darker purple on the centers of the light purple flowers, just to enrich it a little bit more. I added a few gems, and this card is done. Here's a close-up look. I think this is my favorite of the three. And again, this is called the Four Petal Collection. I'll leave all of the links to the products that I use listed in the description box if you're interested in checking any of these out. Thanks so much for spending some of your time with me today. I hope that you were inspired. Take care, my crafty friends. Bye.